Talk about that championship year, because obviously, I mean, to be World Touring Car champion, and you and I were just saying, the difference in our world is that, I don't have that sort of metaphorical, we've won the championship. I don't know if I ever will. But what's that like to cross the line and think, oh my God, I've just won an FIA World Championship here?
I think it's quite difficult to even understand the sort of concept behind it. I'm not even sure it's sunk in yet today. Those years in the World Touring Car, they were definitely the absolute highlight of my career. Yeah. There was a lot of manufacturers involved. The drivers that I was racing against, Ivan Muller, Jason did some races, Rickard Rydell, Nicola Dorini. There was a huge wealth of touring car drivers. And I remember the first race of the day in Macau. So I'd qualified on pole. It was a rolling start. I'd lost the start to my teammate Ivan off the start. Got it back from him, and then the next lap put it in the wall. So that wasn't exactly ideal. We'd arrived in Macau with a bit of a buffer in the championship, so that was good. Alain then went on to win the race. And then the second race of the day is a reverse grid race. So we were then starting in 8th, and I knew I had to get up to probably 4th or 5th to be able to win the championship. And I remember the first 3 laps of that race was so nervous. And I literally had to have a word with myself. I literally had to not stop the car, but stop myself and have a word with myself, like pull it together. This is your one and only chance to do this. That chat with myself went pretty well, and then just lap by lap started picking people off, and got into exactly the right position I needed to be in to win that World Championship. Yeah. Needless to say, we had a hell of a party, and it was brilliant. It was fantastic.
And what do you think about when you cross the line? Or do you think about what's gone, or do you think about what's coming next? It's almost like, right, how do I do this again next year? How do you allow yourself, I mean, you had the party, but do you allow yourself to enjoy that moment as a professional sports person, or is it very much what's the next season?
I think I got very emotional, because it's been a real family effort. And the first thing that crossed my mind was, I think, how happy I was for my dad.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, no,
more than anything, because he sacrificed a lot to help me, and so did my mum and my sister as well. So I think, I think the first thing I thought of was the family. Then I thought, relief. Then I thought how proud Ray and Elaine Malik would be, because ultimately they chose me as a rookie to put me in the car. Yeah. And then you very quickly start going right, and at that point Chevrolet had stopped. That was the end of Chevrolet. So then you very quickly start thinking to yourself, right, where can I put myself next year? I need to do this again, because once isn't enough. Yeah. I need to try and repeat this. So then you try and picture yourself where you can be next year, and you start working immediately. We had a big party that night, but I remember even at the party speaking to the bosses of other manufacturers within the paddock about possibilities of racing for them the following year. So. When you sort of lose your job, effectively, after winning a World Championship, which is effectively what happened, you very quickly start thinking of, almost panic sets in and go, Christ, what are we, how are we going to get back on the grid for next year? And that was probably the toughest bit, is that I spent my whole life working towards this sort of holy grail, this World Championship, this golden star. And I don't want to say it didn't reward me, because it definitely has rewarded me. But at that particular time, it didn't reward me, because I was jobless the next year.
Yeah, but I suppose it's one that you've always then got that in your back pocket for that long
of course. Yeah, very much so. But at the same time, when there's only X amount of drives on the grid, there's only X amount of drives on the grid. Yeah. So, trying to... It was very difficult at that point to enjoy winning a World Championship, because you're spending your time, and you very quickly realise that actually most of the seats on the grid for next year are full. Yeah. The seats that you want to be in, the seats that would allow you to try and win another World Championship. I was very... my drive for the next year, which went back to SEAT with a privateer team, that actually came about from the FIA awards that we went to. So FIA every year they do the F1 awards, all of their championship awards, and we were in Istanbul. And this chap came over to me, a guy I didn't know, didn't recognise, started chatting to me, asking me about touring cars and the World Championship. And we had a very nice conversation, German fella, who goes by the name of Mark Basang, and he'd won the same year, 2012, the GT1 World Championship with All Inkle, with René Munich, in the Mercedes GT3 car. And they had bought 3 Seats to go and race in the World Touring Cars. And that whole chat, unbeknown to me, was a bit of a job interview. And then about a week later, Mark called me and said, look, I was really impressed with you. We've been speaking to the championship organiser and so on, and we think you'd be a great addition to our team. We'd love to be able to run the number 1 on one of our cars. Would you be interested in joining us? Yeah. I knew the car wasn't capable of winning the championship, but I knew that with the finances behind René Munich, with the passion that he has for motorsport, with the team that they just won a GT1 World Championship, I knew it would give me a very good chance of being up there in the championship.
It was a project worth joining.
Yeah,
absolutely.